welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I have some fun DIYs for you today, and I have, boy, could you get that one? Let's try that again. I sailed right through it. All right, round two. Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I have some fun DIYs for you today. I also have a few sweet friends who will be joining me, and I'll explain those details a little bit later. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Crushed it. Today we'll be working on some farmhouse and primitive pumpkin home decor crafts, so let's get started with project number one, or maybe they're both primitive. Anywho, for project number one, I'll be using this fabric. I got it at Hobby Lobby or Walmart, I think Walmart. And then I've got two tins here, both I got at like garage sale. They were both around $2 a piece. Obviously, I like them because they're both rustic, a little bit rusty, discolored. You could get just a new one from Dollar Tree and, you know, grungy it up yourself if you want. But I decided to go with the smaller muffin tin. I actually did the larger off camera, and I think I prefer the larger because with the smaller one, the muffins look more squeezed into their spaces. You'll see when we get to the end. So each of these muffin holders obviously are 2 inches wide. I don't know how to tell you what size you need for yours. I just used this handy dandy tool and I kept making circles till I found the right size for this muffin tin, which was 6 inches in diameter. I cut out 8 circles. All right, I'm going to use needle and thread for this. Obviously, you're going to knot one end of your thread, and then I'm going to go a 1/2 inch from the top edge of the fabric. Either side, I tend to go from the wrong side to the right side, and then you're just going to use a pleating motion and pleat your fabric back and forth onto your needle, as many as you want, and then pull your needle through till your knot hits your fabric, and then you're going to do it all over again. So I'll show you this little bit here. I just, get a nice little chunk on there, a couple inches, and pull it through. And then we'll keep going around till we come right close to where we started, where the knot is on our fabric. When I do this, I'm not worried about the length of my stitches if they're all the same. I'm mostly just trying to keep the same height from the edge of the fabric to the needle. So I'm going to keep going around till I come right close here to that knot. Then I'm going to grab both the knot and the needle, and I'm going to pull them both out really long. Okay, leave your needle on and everything. Just pull them out really long, kind of open up your pumpkin a little bit, and then stuff your pumpkin. And stuff it as full as you want it, but not so full that, once it's closed up, you can't get your muffin inside your tin, obviously. All right, once you get it as full as you want, then you're going to just kind of close that off, make a little knot, close it off, and then cut off the excess thread. But you're going to leave a little opening, as you can see right there, big enough for your stem. All right, I've got them all made. Of course, for my muffin tin 8, I'm going to use some moss here. I'm going to use some of this. I got it at Joann's. It's like a little decorative pitberry thing. And for my stem, I'm going to use some cinnamon sticks and then this cute orange plaid ribbon from Hobby Lobby. All right. Oh, and these are Putka pods. They look like cute little pumpkins. You can get them on Etsy, I believe Amazon, like Michael's, that kind of thing. All right. I'm going to glue my stem in. Right, then I'm going to go ahead and glue my moss on. Now, I actually put too much moss on all of them for this small of a muffin tin because, again, the moss really kind of covers a lot of the muffin tin itself. All right, but, we'll get to that. Then I glued the pitberry thing on. I made the ribbon into a little bow, glued that on, and glued a little Putka pod on. All right, this is what it looks like. And I would tell you here that it's done, but I forgot to do something. All right, so I'm going to use some spray adhesive here. Those who've been with me a while, you know what I'm going to do. And I'm going to mix some cinnamon, which is a natural bug deterrent. And this is some salt. I like to actually use like a kosher salt because it's bigger. And then I'm going to use, and it looks more, chunky. And this is some chunky glitter from Walmart. I like it because it's not iridescent. It's just plain white. And mix it all up to give us a little glitter. Right? And you can mix as much or as little as you want or use whatever you want. Then I got to hold up all my, moss and stuff because I forgot to do it first. Spray some adhesive spray on there and then sprinkle on my little cinnamon salt glitter mixture and kind of make it look like we put a little, yummy cinnamon frosting on our pumpkin muffin. This is what it looks like. Really cute. So let's start from the beginning now. I've got another muffin. This is the right order. You're going to spray, if you want to do this, your spray adhesive or a glue. You could use a clear glue if you want, and then put on your cinnamon mixture like that. And then we're going to come in and put our moss on. All right, I just wanted to show you the correct order. Then you could put whatever decorative elements on you want. All of these are going to be the same with the little pip berries, the little bow, and the little putka pod right in the middle. Just like that. All right, I finished all the rest off camera, but don't these look really, really cute? And see how glittery it looks with that glitter in there? But it's your choice, you do what you want. So here they are all finished. Let's work with the pan a little bit. It is, you know, kind of rusty crusty on the bottom and stuff, but I want to kind of carry that cinnamon mixture to the pan itself. So of course I'm just using the spray adhesive and the cinnamon. I'm just sprinkling it on top, in the corners, things like that. So it kind of just brings the muffins and the tin into one cohesive unit. Now the reason I think that this particular project looks scrunched because there's not really a lot of space, a lot of pan space between the muffin holes and stuff. So the bigger pan looks better and it gives you a little bit more rest for your eye, but I think it's really super cute with all the tiny muffins. So that's why I thought this looked a little crowded. Wanted to tell you that. Ribbon from Hobby Lobby, too wide, so I cut it down. I probably should have even cut it down a little bit more, but I'm just going to kind of put it under the top two muffin tins, you know, on the bottom side, wrap it around the top, and make a cute bow. I am going to give you a free printable here in just a minute. We'll take a look at that. Let me get this tied up. I love the ribbon though, because I thought it kind of matched the tone of the orange. All right, there we go. I'll cut the tails later. So here's your free printable. I gave you different sizes, 2 different designs. I'll also have the fonts listed in the description box. I probably should have went with a little bit bigger font, but I didn't. Here I'm just trying to decide which one I want, and I really wanted to use this one with the kind of cursive on top and the print on the bottom, but probably just the all print might have looked a little bit more visible. I don't know, but I went with this one. I'm going to sew around it off camera, and you can see I cut it into a tag shape. There's my sewing, and I'm going to take the open end of my scissor blades and scrape along the edges and roughen the paper all up. And then I'm going to crinkle it and wrinkle it and scrunch it all up to give it some of those nice kind of distressed wrinklies. And I'm going to take this Distress Oxide ink and walnut stain and my little finger dauber, and then I'm going to ink up my tag and really ink along the wrinkles so it gives us some good depth of lines, wrinkled up and crinkled and inked and that kind of thing. You can do it if you want or not. And then I'm going to also kind of ink up the ribbon a little bit, give it a little bit more than a definition. Use my crocodile to punch a hole in the tag. And of course I'll add a metal star safety pin. I go ahead and pin it on here, but then later I take it off. You'll see why in a little bit. But I'll put it back on. All right, now it's time to glue your muffins in, nice and easy. All right, I kind of didn't glue them all the way down, just so they were sticking up a little bit more. I got 3 glued in, and here I'm like, I need to take this ensemble off. I need to adjust my tails because the ribbon is scrunched in there, as I said earlier, how things are scrunched, all right? And then I'll put that tag back on in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and continue gluing my muffins in. And I tried to kind of make it where the little putka pods were kind of faced outward so you could see them good. But what I also wanted to do here was add some cinnamon mixture to the star and the tag to bring that into unity. And then I safety pin that back in. I'm kind of gluing the star into position so it doesn't fall down onto my tag where you can't read it. And that makes this cute project complete. We'll take a look at the results at the end of the video. So I told you I'd give you some details about today's collaboration. This is the Welcome Autumn collab. I am teaming up with my sweet and endearing friends Jen, who is Mother Time here on YouTube, and Tracy, who is Country Charm by Tracy. And we are bringing you tons of fall inspiration for you to make today. I will leave a playlist link in the description box as well as pinned in my comments so you can go check out all the ideas in one convenient location. Make sure if you don't know their channels, that, or even if you do, stop by, say hello, leave a comment. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. You will not regret it. These ladies are pros. I do not miss a single one of their videos. With that said, let's move on to project number 2. So for this idea, I found it on Pinterest. I found a bunch of different designs, and of course, you know, I'm going to lindify it up. And I'm starting with a circle that is about 8 inches in diameter. And I have 2 pieces of just kind of quilted fabric that I buy really kind of thin, cheap, cut it up. And what you want to do with whatever pieces of fabric you want to put right sides together. Now it's hard to tell on mine, so I'm going to use this. So this is the pretty side, this is the ugly side, and whatever fabric you're going to use, you want to put pretty sides together. All right? And if you're a gluer, you can use hot glue or Fabri-Tac or any fabric glue, you're going to glue all the way around right close to the edge. Okay, if you're a sewer, you're going to sew all the way around right close to the edge. And if you noticed, I didn't say leave an opening anywhere. Don't worry, we'll get to that. So I'm just using my sewing machine here. I did just like a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Probably could have did a little bit bigger, but it works. This is what it looks like. And now what you want to do, whether you glued or sewed, you want to just cut little slits right before your glue or sew line, and this helps it so that when we do turn this right side out, it'll form a better shape of a pumpkin. So what you're going to do, yeah, we're making a pumpkin, you're going to pull your 2 pieces out, and on one side, making sure you only have one side of fabric here, that's why I said pull it out, you're going to make a slit. You can use some scissors, or this is a seam ripper for those of you who are sewers, just somewhere in the middle, and I think I do about a 2-inch long slit, and then I'm going to turn this right side out. I told you we'd talk about an opening. Here's our opening. Don't worry, we will cover it up. And then just make sure, you turn it right side out and then get your circle shape really good, and then just start stuffing your pumpkin. Now, again, as with last week's video, make sure you stuff it so you can bounce a 1/4 off this thing, right? If you want. That's what I like to do. I like it stuffed. See how really tight it is? And now we're going to close up our opening as soon as you get it as tight as you want it to be. But you can glue or sew it, but you want to leave an opening for your stem. So I'm going to start sewing it closed. So I would like, if you're going to glue it, just kind of glue it part way. Here, sew it part way. Stick what you're going to use for your stem in, so it holds your space, and then continue sewing or gluing on the other side of your stem. Okay? Nice and easy, just like that. And even if you're a gluer and you like to hand sew, you can totally hand sew this shut, right? Tie it off and cut off the excess. I'm not going to put my stem in quite yet, so I'll pull it out. All right, this is what it looks like. Pretty funny. Now we're going to make sections in our pumpkin. I like to use crochet thread. You could use twine. I think I bring it in here, yeah, but use a thin twine if you do. And then find a needle that has, I'm using like, these are upholstery needles. It has a really large eye opening, so it's going to allow you space to get that twine in, or that crochet thread or something like that. So put it through your needle, tie a knot in one end, and then you're going to go through the center where your stem was going to go, from the top to the bottom, and pull it all the way through till your knot hits. Now, we can't make our sections by just wrapping this around the pumpkin like we normally might do, because then we can't get our stem in. So we have to do each section one at a time, going from the bottom to the top, through the center, back around, etc. So we're going to go from the bottom here, wrap it around, and then we're going to go through that center opening to the bottom. Now, when you pull your needle out, do not come out the same hole, because if you keep coming out the same hole, you're just going to widen that hole, and then it's not going to work right. So just try to make a little tight local area of where you come out every time you come out through the bottom, but not one hole. All right, and then you're going to pull it really tight, and then you're going to pull it through the other side, directly across, come through the center opening at the top, down through the bottom, again near the opening or the holes, but not through the same hole, not through any same hole. Pull it all the way through, and then kind of pull it tight so you get your gather. And I'm going to make 3 sections on each side. So by doing that on each side, we really only need to do 2 here. So you're going to pull it again through probably 3 inches away, maybe through the center to the bottom, pulling it all the way tight so you get that kind of indent there, and then one more here, 3-4 inches away. Wrap it around the pumpkin, go from the center up top to the bottom, pull it through, just like that. And then we're going to do that all the way around. Okay? Hopefully that was understandable. Probably better than to listen is to watch. I'm on the last one here. When you end on the last one, here I'm pulling it through right here, you end up at the bottom. We need to get that string back through the top. All right, pull it nice and tight to get your indent, and then come right back through the bottom. There's Bella to the left, and pull it up through that top opening. Just like that. And then just kind of wrap it around one of the threads or through the fabric or something like that. And just kind of tie it off. All right. I usually go through the fabric and then make a little loop and then run my needle through the loop 3 times and cut off the excess. Here's what we got. Now we're going to work on making a bag for our pumpkin. This is like Waverly fabric from Walmart. It looks like a muslin, almost as thick as a canvas, but not quite. It's just 100% cotton fabric, like a duck fabric, okay? You can use whatever fabric you want. And I want to make it so that my pumpkin fits with about 1 inch on each side. Oh, wait a minute. We need to pause for 1 moment. Bella needs her pets. Did you see how she walked down right and laid on Mommy's fabric? Isn't she cute? Well, I think she's cute. I'm her mommy. So sorry, if you want, you can fast forward maybe 30 seconds here, but look at that. She just could not get enough. She was rolling and pulling. This probably went on actually for about 2 or 3 minutes, I'd say. But I cut a lot of that out for you. Couple final little pets, and we'll move on to where we started. There we go. All right, so let's do this again. I want this about 8 inches across so that when I put my pumpkin in, I got about 1 inch on each side. That's the width of our bag. So I've ripped 2 pieces of fabric. You can cut it 8 inches wide, about 9 inches in length. Okay? So to make this bag, again, it's going to be hard to tell on my fabric, so I'm going to use our sample fabric. We want right sides together, pretty sides together, all right? Ugly sides on the outside. So pretty sides together. If you're a gluer, you're going to go down 1 long side, 1 short side, and up another long side, leaving 1 short side open, all right? And you're just going to glue between the 2 fabrics right close to the edge. If you're a sewer, you're going to do the same thing. I'll do it off camera, and here it is. Here, for some reason, I did like a 1/2 inch, so I'm just going to take my pinking shears and just cut off the extra. All right? And done. There we go. All right, so we're going to make our bag have a square bottom like tote bag so that it will kind of sit upright. So turn your bag right side out. All right? Make sure you got your points there good, and you're going to go to one end, that point right there, and you're going to push it in with your finger. Right, and I push it in till that line across here, I kind of match up my seams. This is about 2 inches wide so that I can match both sides evenly, and then I'm just going to glue right in there, all the way from that inner point to that edge. And I'll pin it just to make sure it, sets up while I do the other side. All right, do the other side, same thing, push that point in. Now here, I pushed it in too far. See, I'm like 2.5 inches. So I'm just going to kind of push that point from the inside back out a little bit and do it until I measure about 2 inches so that I know it's exact same as the other side. We'll have an even bottom, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue again from that point to the outer edge there. And then I'll pin it till it sets up, because Fabri-Tac takes about 1 minute to set up. Right? See, we'll have a nice square bottom when we're done. All right, once it's dry, taking my pins out, we're going to flip the bag back to the inside. Now, those of you who are sewers know how to do this. You can totally sew your corners, that kind of thing. But here we are. We're just gluing and making it easy. You can see where we glued our ends, all right? It's probably about 1 inch down, a triangle glue, and we're just going to glue that glued section inward on the inside of our bag. Does that make sense? We're going to fold it over. So it's about 1 inch down from that top point. Glue. I'm kind of gluing there and the seam. And then fold it over. And this is what it looks like once it's dried. Now we have a nice square bottom. We're going to turn our bag again right side out. Looks like this, of course, just like I showed you before we did that. And now our bag sits, as soon as I get my corners out good, sits straight up without any problem. Okay? If you don't want to do that, don't do it. Just have your one seam go all the way around and don't worry about it. But we're going to put a pumpkin in it, so it's going to make it top heavy. So I like to put cotton down. I've got a bag of rocks here. I do the cotton so that you just feel that soft on the bottom and not, the rocks, if you know what I'm saying. And then I'm going to use more cotton and fill it about 3/4 of the way up, leaving enough room for our pumpkin. And with the rocks in there, it should sit upright just like this without any problem, even with the weight of the pumpkin inside. All right, now I want to decorate the front. You can see I flipped the top edge of the bag down about 3 inches, and I found this like fabric-y grain sack vintage at a thrift show, and I'm going to just cut it up. I think I did about 6-7 inches in width. I want to just wrap it around the front of the bag. Now, I like how this turned out, but it's just a little bit too light in color, and it was kind of giving me some issues with the decorating portion, and I'll explain that as we come along. But anyway, I'm using my ink here, walnut stain ink, and just adding some staining to it. I've sewed around all the way around it, so you can choose to do that if you want it. But laying against the bag was too flat, so now I'm just adding some batting there. I glue the batting on off camera, and then I'm going to wrap my fabric around that. And it just kind of makes the design of this vintage bag kind of pop off of the other bag a little bit better. But I love the colors on it because I think it matches the pumpkin, but it's just too light. But we'll get to that in a minute. So now what I'm doing is I want to stain my fabric. I probably should have did maybe like an orange pumpkin or something like that, but I was trying to go sort of neutral. So I'm taking cinnamon, I'm rubbing it all over the fabric first, just plain cinnamon, rubbing it on there to kind of stain it up. All right, and then we're going to do our adhesive thing just like we did in the first project, bringing out my cinnamon salt glitter mixture again, and I'm going to just go real heavy on the top. I show mostly the top, shake off the excess. I'm going to do another layer of the adhesive, add more cinnamon, another layer of adhesive, add more of the mixture, and like I said, I'll show more of the top, and then the bottom you'll just see a tiny bit, but I finish it off a little bit better, but I kind of do the same thing on the bottom. Right? But I like how this turned out kind of, really thick, layery, dark on top. I think that looks pretty cool. So again, just here's the bottom. I start going around a little bit more. I've added more cinnamon on the sides. I'm doing this, but do as much or as little as you want. Okay. Now what I'm doing is finally we're going to actually glue our stem in, right? And we're going to just make it really easy. I'm going to glue some moss on there. I've already got glue on there. And then I started out with this checkered fabric. I just ripped a strip of it as the bow, which I love. But then I just could not get the decoration on the bag right. So you're going to see this change from this fabric to I took it off, and now I'm going to add some of these pip berries and this covered paper wire. You can get at Hobby Lobby. The pip berries, remember, those are just Joann's. So I take that off. Here's my covered wire. I just kind of twist it around the stem. I glue the pip berries in, and then I come in with some crochet fabric and I tie it around it. And then I didn't like that, so we'll come back to that in a minute. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and just glue the pumpkin in on the front. I don't glue the back yet because then I want to add some of this stuff, and all of a sudden I can't remember what it is, but I add this in the back. Decide it's too much, so off camera I take some of it out. I do leave a little bit. I'm just going back and forth on this pumpkin in the bag, and I think it's because I chose such light colors, but I still love how it turned out. I will have a free printable for you on my blog. I printed it onto fabric. The link to my blog in the description box, and there will be a video on how to print onto fabric using your inkjet or laser printer. I sewed around it. I added some batting on the back of it, and then I'm just going to put it right here in the middle. You could print it on paper or whatever you want. Now, I like to add a little bit of texture. Ignore that twine and that bell, it's coming off. And look at the top of my pumpkin, that checkered ribbon's back on top. This is a tablecloth, vintage tablecloth. I found it at a thrift sale years ago for $1 because I had a big hole in it. And I like to use it every now and then and just kind of tuck it in places where I want texture. So I tucked it in the front and a little bit on the back. And now I'm taking that cinnamon mixture and adhesive spray, and I thought maybe my bag just needs the cinnamon and stuff on there. But it still wasn't quite doing it for me. So in the next scene, I'm like, okay, so I took the checkered ribbon back off the top of the pumpkin. I decided I'm going to rip a longer strip and tie it around the top of my bag because I think just my bag needed something. And now I'm wrinkling and crinkling the ribbons after I've tied that strip into a bow because I want them to stay where they're at. Believe it or not, we're almost done. Even with all the back and forth decisions, we're almost done. And the last little thing I'm going to do is just add a safety pin and a rusty star in the middle, leaving it simple with a little bit of color, and that makes this project complete. So I hope you enjoyed both of these projects today, even though I was a little bit indecisive on what I wanted to do. Leave me a comment down below, but don't let that stop you. You create something beautiful, I just know it. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which project was your favorite. Give this video a thumbs up because it really does help my channel to grow. And if you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out, you're digging what you saw, or maybe you came over from Jen's channel or Tracy's channel, welcome to my channel. If you loved what you saw here today, make sure before you click off, you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another video from me. Again, remember this video is in collaboration with my sweet friends Jen and Tracy. The playlist link will be in the description box as well as pinned to my comments, so you can go check out the wonderful, beautiful crafts that they made for you today. Jen and Tracy, thank you again, my sweet friends, for collaborating with me. It's always a pleasure to my heart. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Who is Jesus? Our hearts define him as the great I am. 3 words that hold great meaning. Webster's dictionary defines the word great as exceptional and remarkable. It defines the word I as the narrator or written in first person. And lastly, it defines the word am as relating to identity and existence. In essence, Jesus is the source of all being. He is the sustainer of all things, and he is the only one remarkable in his glory, all of which is written and declared for us in his word from the Old to the New Testament. This great I am, long before time began, knew that man would try to conquer life on his own terms, so he devised a plan where we would never be separated from him. As we journey through the pages of the Old Testament, God's plan becomes clearly evident in the book of Isaiah, chapter 7, verse 14. Listen carefully. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and she will call his name Emmanuel. God's love was set forth into motion because his desire is to be with you. This great I am, this all-powerful God with his attributes of righteousness and mercy, provide us with his wisdom and guidance as he leads us through the history into the pages of the New Testament, where we finally see his unfailing love as he sends forth his Son humbly in human form to seek and save those that were lost and bring healing to those who needed repair. He was hated by many because they didn't accept that he was who he said he was. They debated the validity of his own existence, turned their backs on him, and sentenced him to death. He died because his desire was to be with you. This great I am came to earth he created and gave his last breath, thereby providing us with his unfailing love of redemption through grace, extending us mercy upon repentance, and giving us an eternity with him through his risen glory. For God to be I am means that he is I am, not dependent on anyone or anything. He is the never-ending, always existing creator of the past, present, and future. He is unchanging and his power is undeniable. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. His holiness, love, and justice are perfect. His purposes are steadfast, and his promises are enduring. He doesn't become more wiser or more loving or more perfect over time because he is already perfect. This great I am, this ever-present author of life, devised a plan as was foretold in Isaiah. He aptly named him Emmanuel, meaning God with us, because from the beginning, his most ultimate desire was and is to be with you. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.